Yeah, the idea that the Soviet Union was found in a gigantic bloodbath is one of those things. I mean, there were people killed, like the Tsarist royal family, but it was the Nazis who claimed it was a giant bloodbath, and they found actually a newspaper owner, what was it, this guy, he was a Nazi sympathizer, he met with Hitler, Hearst, William Randolph Hearst. He actually, before World War II, went and met with Hitler, and like Hitler gave him like a medal or something, kind of like, you know, Medal of Freedom nonsense in the US. And William Randolph Hearst, there were comics, like New York Times ran a comic showing him in a rowboat with Hitler. He was well known that he was, I think that was the New York Times, a major newspaper ran that comic. It was well known that William Randolph Hearst was a Nazi sympathizer, and he parroted the Nazi claims, but that wasn't a coincidence. He actually met with Hitler, and he kept lines of communications open with Mussolini and Goebbels, the Nazi propaganda minister, and so he was literally just parroting the Nazi propaganda on instructions from Berlin and Rome. Nazi and Italian fascist propaganda. So that's the claims about the Soviet Union made their way to America via Hearst, and then when the Cold War broke out, the CIA made no efforts to refute these lies. So you get claims that there were all these people killed when the Soviet Union was founded. That's not true. You get the Great Purge, where a lot of people were killed, and then but the numbers on deaths that for a long time were believed were completely fabricated. The historical number we know now, because after the Soviet Union fell, historians are able to go and access records, you know, look at family trees, see where people disappeared. It was about 750,000. But people, for a long time, there was this claim that was like 6 million people who were killed. That was a tenth that, basically. A ninth that. But the number that was used came directly out of Nazi propaganda. And then the Holodomor, terrible event, but the death tolls that were reported in the West were also exaggerated. Again, came directly out of Nazi propaganda, because this happened before World War II. I think historians sell on 3.5 million, but there were people believing it was like 16 or something insane, and you were getting 6 and 7 million being written about. When not coincidentally, very similar numbers to the Great Purge, because they were just made up numbers and that people thought would be believed. And, you know, people died, but this is a tactic the U.S. does to this day, like the Rand protests. People died, but if we inflate the number 2, 3, 4, 10-fold from the actual number, then it sounds more horrifying, which is wrong, and it devalues people who die in things where the numbers aren't inflated. For instance, it makes it look, it changes the comparison to how many people die homeless or lack of healthcare in the U.S. every year, where the numbers aren't getting inflated to heck if you compare it to the Rand protests, and then it changes people's priorities, so it does matter. You can't be like, well, because people died, it's okay, people inflate the number. No, it's not. You have to stick to the truth. Alright, I'm gonna risk slightly smaller winglets at the base, because this thing, I think it's bigger than before. It should be a little more stable. It's not going to be stable right now because of the lack of fairings, which is going to shift the center of lift way up with exposed inner stage areas. And I'm also going to have to figure out exactly how much I'm going to scale down the kerosene and the let's check. I think these are the same diameter, right? 1.875. Yes, this is actually a straight inner stage. Unless there's no way to scale this up. Made this match. That's actually fairly simple. Just go straight up. Until it hits the edge there. That's why I didn't care about like smaller engine plate. Well, I mean, it's actually a more gradual transition. Instead of until the bottom of the engine plate, the diameter is a certain amount, it goes, diameter falls off, then falls off again. This is actually should be less draggy even without the bearing. This is a weaker connection. Here, this fairing is purely interstage, so boom. And then finally the fairing in the very top piece. Let's see. We'll have to... Is this really changed? 475. Nope. $65.03. Yeah, it's still 475. That's what I thought. 475 aniline. The kerosene number is complete garbage. Before I'm gonna have to completely recalculate that. So I sized everything up. Might be the proportion hasn't changed, but I won't risk that because there is this stuff which is didn't increase proportional. I think I actually scaled it up more than the rest. Okay. And last but not least, the topmost fairing. In order to be able to get above it, I actually needed to move the whole rocket down. Just for vanity's sake, recoloring that to match the color scheme of the rest of the rocket. It does make it so hard to tell what the fairings are. You know what? I won't do that. Alright, anyways, considering what the recolor is, I'm like, I could do the others too. I'm at it. I just have to go before. Oh yeah, it has to increase slightly in diameter first at the very base. Because it's actually the same diameter as what's above it. It's just the way the game forces. There we go, that's the minimum increase in diameter. Have it becomes slightly, moves inward at a slightly faster rate as the diameter decreases. Skin drive becomes more of a relevant part of. Alright, now keep the engines. Nope, they're still clipped into the ground. Alright, center mass, center lift. Still thinks it's unstable. Do a static analysis of bar. Yeah, that's marginally unstable at 0.2, Mach 0.2, but it's not very. Definitely manageable with thrust vectoring. At 1.2, which is definitely still a relevant speed, it actually becomes more stable. That's because the center of lift. If you think this is a plane flying horizontal, the center of lift moves back when you break Mach 1. But then it starts to move back forward again, if I remember. So it becomes unstable again by Mach 2. I think, and it's still about the same. It's reasonably... Well, no, with the increased influence of drag, that would actually be high instability. So this is very, very marginal. The real issue is parasitic drag at high Mach, which means I actually need to make this top nose sharper than before. This is going to make the whole rocket heavier, but... There we go. Pointier. That should be more stable. You should see the cyan and yellow lines shift a little closer together now. They did not. Oh no, wait, it's not the cyan, it's the red line that should shift down a little. I think it did very marginally, but I'm not sure. Alright, even more gradual over there. So this should reduce parasitic drag, so I expect the red line to shift down very slowly, though such a big rocket, it's going to be hard to see. Nope. Weird. Wow, my instincts about these... what am I saying? It's not parasitic drag. Parasitic only cares about the cross-section and the skin area. It's, what is it? It's rapid changes in diameter bad. I'm trying to remember what this type of drag is called. Whatever. Trust my instincts that this is probably more stable due to more gradual. The thing I always worry about when I make these fairings longer is that the extra surface area of a more gradual change in diameter may outweigh the more gradual change in diameter. Two factors working against each other. I'm never sure which is stronger. There is such thing as an ideal taper level, which becomes more gradual the higher a speed you go to. For instance, at Mach 3.2, this gets very unstable. I probably made it less unstable at Mach 3.2, but at this point, I have to count on the air being so thin by that speed that thrust vectoring can overpower it, even though there'd be a strong tendency to have to use it. Alright. I think it's fair to say I probably need to make the winglets just a little larger. This is still really unstable. Alright, let's say Mach 1.2, relatively vertical ascent. Can't avoid being still very stable there, so what's the point at which it becomes unstable? Not 1.6. Still stable at 1.9. Still stable at Mach 2. actually the drag probably. Yeah, it might actually be most stable. I might try and go slightly off the appropriate vector, but yeah, this might actually be a little unstable at Mach 2.1. There's not enough distance between the yellow and the cyan to counteract the red being way up there. 1.8. Yeah, I think it's stable to about Mach 1.8. And then instability starts to become a real issue. That's... Alright. Let's look up what the speed of sound is in meters a second. So tell me how fast. It varies. It's about 343 at sea level. Should be... I forget. I think it's actually lower at higher altitude. I forget if that's due to temperature or density. I think it's density. But yeah, I could go up to 617 meters a second at sea level. I have no problem with that. As long as the thing doesn't tip over at very slow speeds, it should be fine. In fact, that's such a high speed. I'm going to reduce. Still reasonably stable. Certainly be stable up to, I don't know, 1.7. Yeah. Yeah, I should have no problems as long as I may have to throttle down a little in the worst case on the way up, but this should not be a problem. Alright. I don't know if I should have such a pointing nose fairing. It's possible. It's just adding more surface area. It also adds mass, though, where it most want it. Alright. Well, one way to find out if this stupid thing is any good, and that's to fly it. 2 hours and 11 minutes. Been going for a while. I just hesitate moving things to the launch pad. I'm like, what else am I forgetting? Oh, there's exactly one thing I'm forgetting. And that's to recalculate the kerosene, how much I have to downscale it. Alright, I do not like doing this math. Well, this is just a test. But yeah, I may redo it several times and be dumb. Alright, seems to think that I shouldn't even do it a full. So very slight, if any, reduction in kerosene now. (62208) 62200. That'd be the first direction. Alright, cut off from 100 more kerosene. 18257 to 18263, I think. So that was favorable. 268, yeah. Cut off 200 more kerosene. 18280. Alright. $61,800. Put an approximate sign on this so that I know that this is just an estimate. I haven't actually bothered to calculate. Writing this down. Alright. That's it. That's the last change as far as I can tell. Time to bring this sucker to the launch pad. Let's see. Oh yeah, with strategies, I decided I was going to do local science for a bit. Get it some, or Tivoli Go with the KSC stuff count as, yeah, probably just local science. I don't know, I'd have to eye the numbers, but either way, this isn't going to visit any new biomes, and this is just a test launch. I don't think I'm gonna... Let's just see how stable this is in the initial phases of ascent. Very, very low thrust to weight ratio, I knew that. Let it roll freely, because I really don't care if it rolls. Actually provide some stability. I'm not seeing any indicators of anything that's really struggle to keep this upright. Alright, and boom. Increase the gravity turn. Landing info? No thanks. Ascent stats is what I want. Engine noises get less loud once reach a certain altitude. For a moment, then you get a sonic boom. Or two. Time to aposis is increasing. Dynamic pressure is very high still. Max dynamic pressure 40 kPa, 40,000 kPa. Huh. Might want to stop increasing the gravity turn. Burn surface per rate entirely. This thing is struggling to gain altitude. It's gaining speed. Time to aposis is decreasing now. It's been pitch up a degree. Oh, it's starting to have stability issues after I'm not sure. No, it's not the dynamic pressure, it's because of the time warp. Plus the roll. Didn't like that. Stable at 1x time warp at the moment I just cancel the roll. That's fine. Spins too rapidly. My jib is too slow to catch up. Drag loss is not very high. Dynamic pressure is still too high to lose the fairings. I'm starting to get overheating of parts due to the fast and moving. Oh, it becomes unstable the moment I lose thrust vectoring. You can see. It was always kept stable at that speed, but that was a really, really flat ascent. I think it's fair to say that this thing is stable enough for my purposes. That was pushing it to its utter limit, and it was good as long as I had thrust vectoring. Realistically, I'd throttle down and go start the gravity turn a little later. And so I'd be going slower than that. Be able to keep the engines running longer. Cool. Drag losses weren't even that high on the thing until I turned off the engines and it started spinning, toppling, whatever. Cool. That's a successful design. That's what I like to see. Technically, I could just 61,800. Let's try 720. $18,002. Yeah, that's a little better. Still have to calculate that at some point if I want to get it optimal ascent, which I should. Oh, wrong stage. There's nothing to... And this goes down to 475. This is if later I get lazy and decide I'm not going to calculate stuff. Then I can just launch this in the launch pad. Launch the VB, it'll reset all the partial fills. Alright, so that's done. I'm going to take a break. Maybe I'll calculate that stuff later real quick, or off camera possibly, to save you guys time. I don't know, maybe I'll design a little rover to putter around the... I don't have wheels yet. Maybe I'd have to grab the aviation node, I'm pretty sure, and then I have my Kerbals get out of like a cockpit of a plane and just putter around the KSC or something, or taxi the plane around. I don't have landing gear yet. I can't do that either. Shoot. I'd like to do local science, but I literally don't have any of the parts that would enable it. Stupid probes first. Alright, well, viewers, I hope you all enjoyed this. Take care of each other. Be kind to yourselves, and may you always find a guiding star to lead you home. Until next time, it's Northstar. Best luck to you all.